everybody, welcome back. Welcome to another video and welcome to another wonderful product of nature. Today's product contains a drug that affects the brain. And actually, it contains the most psychoactive substance in the world. And yet, it's the world's favorite drink. Let's talk about coffee. So what is coffee? Coffee is a bean. It's a bean that grows on long stalk trees of thin, skinny bark, and they look like berries. Now these trees grow in the tropics, on mountains, and that is important, or they grow only there because there needs to be a big difference in temperature between morning and night temperatures for these trees to grow best. Many countries have such climate conditions, and many countries produce coffee, amongst them Mexico and Brazil and Kenya and Colombia. The berries that grow on these trees, they are red. When they are bright red, they are ready to be picked. They are washed, and then the pulp and the skin is taken off, and the seed is the one that we want, the seed which is the bean. They are washed again and they are put in the sun to dry for several days. After they are dry, their color is yellowish light green. There's also a membrane on them which is removed. The good ones are kept. The ones that are not fit for trade are taken out, and then they're put in sacks and taken to be sold. And if you've ever seen coffee beans, you know they're flat from one side because there is a round two-piece bean in the middle of the berry. We all know that there is a difference in coffee from one area to the next. So what is it really that people who specialize in this look for? What they look for is the acidity, the flavor, the sweetness, the body, and the overall personal appreciation. The most active substance in coffee, of course, is caffeine. Now, caffeine is poisonous, but the human body has the mechanism of breaking it down into less harmful components. But the fact does remain that it is still addictive. And therefore, coffee is not recommended for small children, pregnant women, or for people who have serious heart problems. So let's take a closer look at coffee and coffee beans. So these are the coffee beans, and this is how they look like after they are dried. We can actually find them in the market if we want to roast them at home. The coffee that we usually see and know is this, the coffee beans, and these are roasted. This is the time when different flavors could be added, like orange or vanilla, caramel. The dark is roasted for a longer time, the light is roasted for less time. From here on, other than the quality of the coffee and the personal preference, what decides and differentiates one coffee from the next is the way it is roasted, the way it is ground, and the way it is brewed. We can buy it like this, roast it at home, grind it and brew it, or we can take it already ground and just brew it at home. This, for example, is a coffee that is fit for both espresso machine and for French press. It is powder, but it is coarse powder. You can feel the granules of the coffee. Now this here is Greek coffee, and it is very, very fine. It's also powder, but it's very soft powder. You can barely feel the granules, and smells, of course, different. This here, this is Arabic coffee. It's the same category as the Greek coffee. It's ground exactly the same, with the difference that with the Arabic coffee, they like to add cardamom in the coffee. So, should we drink coffee? Yes or not, and how much? Well, if you drink coffee like twice a day, whichever coffee you prefer, then that's absolutely fine. Coffee has its good and bads. First of all, there is no deep core link between coffee and overall cancer or any specific cancer. So up to 2 cups a day, we're good. Now, from one side, we know that, for example, coffee decreases risk for diabetes. It improves alertness. A lot of people, if they drink coffee later in the afternoon or evening, they're having a hard time falling asleep. They decrease migraines. But at the same time, a lot of coffee increases migraines. Caffeine may contain some antioxidants. It may improve constipation, but it may worsen anxiety and panic attacks. It may increase urinary frequency because we know that caffeine is a diuretic. So we lose a little bit more water than we actually should or compared to other drinks. It may mildly elevate blood pressure. It can interfere with calcium absorption. So it really depends on the amount of coffee that we drink. And this is why we say, okay, up to 2 cups, that's fine. But the reason I want to talk about coffee is not so directly related to actual nutrient components that it has, but to another type of contribution. When we're talking about food, food is always related to social events and human socializing. So if we have a wonderful, happy event happening, we have food. If we have a sad event happening, we have food. If we want to get together, even if we have a meeting at work, there's always food around events. At the same time, when we're talking about health, it's not just, actual food items that we're eating, but there's also the aspect of behavioral, psychosocial, psychological health, social support that we get from other humans, personal control. There's always a symbolic meaning to foods. For example, coffee in a lot of cultures is more connected to sad events. For example, if you go to pay your condolences somewhere, coffee is the drink to serve. Mental health is very much related to social gathering. Solid science shows that social relationships affect a range of health outcomes, including mental health, physical health, health habits, and even mortality risk. And because of what we've been going through with COVID and the last year and a half, I think that all of us have sensed, some of us more, some of us less, the high cost of isolation. We don't need to wait for an event to include food in it. Pick food and make an event around it in these cases. Take care of your social health, your social environment. How often do you meet with friends? How often do you interact with other people? This is extremely important. Coffee is a drink that really suits this 2 people get together, 3 people get together. And it's not just, to drink the coffee. You can make coffee at home, but it's the socializing aspect of it. Don't forget that aspect of our health. I think most of us know how to include coffee in our everyday life, but enjoy the actual making of the coffee. Choose a way where you can enjoy the whole sort of ritual of making coffee, of taking the beans or taking the ground coffee and then developing this aroma where the whole kitchen smells coffee. Now, today I chose to show you how to make a specific type of coffee. And I'm choosing this because in many countries it's not very well known, especially in the Western world, or it's known but not all people know how to actually brew it. In some countries it's called a Greek coffee, in other countries it's called Arabic coffee or Turkish coffee. It's the same type of coffee. The difference is the way it is brewed and the way it is served. Usually This type of coffee, you go to the store and it is ground in front of you, so you have a freshly ground coffee. Sometimes you can even find it in the supermarket, and from there on, the way it is brewed is really a ritual. You don't need any machines, but you do need this little kettle, which is called the breek or the ibrik, and it's very easy to find, especially in Middle Eastern supermarkets. Today I'm going to show you the Greek and the Arabic because those are the ones I'm quite familiar with. This is probably the oldest brewing of coffee that we know. It's brewing coffee on what we call open fire. So you take the kettle with the coffee and you just put it on the stove. It's sort of an over extraction of flavor from the coffee. Its richness is close to the espresso, but I think it's a little bit more rich. And it is meant to be drunk slowly. And this is why it is served in such small cups. So I'm going to show you how to make this. Now their measurements are more or less the same. For every cup of water, you're going to need about 1 teaspoon of coffee. You can make it sweet. So for every teaspoon of coffee, you put 1 teaspoon of sugar. You can make it light with just a little bit of sugar, or you can take it without any sugar. So today I'm going to prepare it without any sugar. Okay. So I need to add 1 full teaspoon of coffee. If I wanted sugar in it, this is the moment to add sugar. I stir so that the water and the coffee will blend. Now I'm going to show you how I'm going to brew it. The difference between the Arabic and the Greek when you are brewing it, with the Arabic coffee, you keep stirring because you don't want the foam. And because the foam really builds up and may overflow, it is recommended that when you're doing the Arabic style coffee, you use an ibrik which is bigger than the amount you're using. So if your coffee is up to here, use this size of ibrik, so when the foam rises, it's not going to spill. And when you put this on the stove, do not move away. When you're brewing this coffee, you stay there because otherwise it's going to spill, believe me. When the entire foam is gone, you take it off the fire and you leave it. You can cover it so it stays warm, and you leave it to set in the brick. Now with the Greek coffee, same thing. You keep stirring, and when you see that the foam is starting to form thick, you stop stirring, because with Greek coffee you want the foam. And when you see the bubbles coming underneath the foam, you immediately take it off the fire and you serve it on the spot. And you let it set while it's in the little cup. So let's see how it's done. Put the Arabic coffee here. I've been stirring on and off. The water's getting warm and you can see that there is a foam being formed. This foam is not desired with the Arabic coffee, so we need to keep stirring. And now we're very close to start seeing bubbles coming underneath the foam. Okay, you can see bubbles underneath the foam, and this is when we continue to stir. You see how the foam rises up. It's coming all the way up. We need to keep stirring so the foam will go away. So we keep putting the breek on and off the fire until the whole foam is gone. Oops. See, now the foam is full of bubbles, which means that it's being reduced, and it only takes a couple of minutes. So we want the coffee to actually boil a little bit on the fire, and that is very important with Arabic coffee. And from there on, we take it off the fire. There is no foam on the coffee right now. We set it aside and we let it settle. And I put on the Greek coffee. Same procedure. I wait for the water to boil. So I start seeing the foam being formed. And because Greek coffee is lighter in color, the foam is also lighter in color. It's roasted for less time than Arabic coffee. Arabic coffee is roasted longer, so it's darker. And now the foam is starting to thicken. So this is when I stop stirring the coffee. When I see bubbles coming from underneath the foam onto the foam, that means that the water is boiling. I take it off the heat and I serve it. And I have this wonderful foam on top of the coffee. So we brewed our coffees, we served the Greek coffee, and we have a lovely foam, and we have left the Arabic coffee to set, and now we serve it because we want a clear liquid, no foam. Clear liquid, no foam is a designation that the coffee was well brewed, so you have taken your time to make a good cup of coffee for your guests. With the Greek culture, you need the foam because this shows two things. First of all, that you have just brewed the coffee, so you haven't really brewed it like an hour ago, because if I leave this coffee here slowly, the foam is going to go away. So when you serve a cup of coffee with a good thick foam, it means you have just brewed it for your guests. But also, the foam designates the quality of the coffee. Good coffee has a good white foam, but other than that, the foam separates from the actual liquid. Okay, if the quality of the coffee is not that good, it's very difficult for the foam to separate from the actual liquid of the coffee. Now, many attempts have been made to make this coffee with a machine. So far, it's not working very well. This type of coffee is only done well using this little kettle, the brick or ibrik. It's usually served with something very, very sweet. You can find it with the sweetened confectionate fruits that it may be served with, or with something like this lokum or Turkish delight. And the clash of this very sweet with the bitterness of the coffee, even if there's sugar in your coffee, really makes a feast in the palate. One more thing, especially with Greek coffees, also always served with a glass of water, and that's actually very wise because, as we said, coffee with caffeine especially is a diuretic, so it makes us lose a little bit more water compared to other drinks. So drinking a glass of water before drinking your coffee is a pretty good idea. Regarding taste, I mean, that also goes back to personal preference. Now, this with the foam, yes, the foam does add a nice flavor to the coffee and a nice texture. And this would be the Arabic coffee, which is usually very clear. In the Arabic culture, coffee is very much served after heavy meals. It's considered a digestive drink, so after a heavy meal, a plain coffee, no sugar, is served. So, wrapping it up, if you drink a couple of coffees a day, then that's absolutely fine. There's no problem. There is the decaffeinated version of it, but mind you that decaffeinated coffee is not 100% without caffeine. If you choose to have a caffeine dose every day, then please make the choice to be coffee or tea instead of choosing other drinks that contain caffeine. They may contain other substances that may not be very healthy for you. If you are a heavy coffee drinker and you are thinking of decreasing your coffee consumption, then please do so gradually. Now, coffee, I wouldn't really say that it contains any calories, so especially if you drink it without any sugar, then you don't have to worry about that. And coffee is a very good accompaniment for your social gatherings, for when getting together with a friend, or if you just want to relax. And remember, the closer we are to nature, the healthier we are. This is the end of this video. If you like the content, then please click the subscribe button beneath so you are notified every time there's a new video coming up. And please join our Facebook group so that we can have our discussions there. You can also find some beautiful pictures of the different products in Pinterest and Instagram. And that's it for today. Thank you and see you next time.